Here, you can exercise your rights to freedom every day without leaving your home. We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
So majority of women have heard this line in their lives: your hair is your crown and glory. But why is my crown constantly the point of debate? My first guest today is the Mail and Guardian arts editor, Milisuthando Bongela. In 2016, her and beauty editor and friend, Natalia, joined forces to create a web series called Living Head First, conversations with women about their relationship with their hair and how it ties in with their identity. It was fantastic. Take a look.
Here to talk about our favorite subject,
Hair.
which is hair. Someone actually posted on my page, she's a mother and she has an 8-year-old girl. Her daughter came home and she was just like, she wants to straighten her hair because, you know, she doesn't understand why it's growing upwards and not downwards. And the mom is just like, she's 8 years old. I don't necessarily want to bring politics into this, like, can she be a kid?
Yeah.
But at the same time, she doesn't want to lie or cushion her too much from the truth. And I don't know, what does she tell her? When I was little, my mom, when I decided to cut my hair, she just would call me ugly every day until my hair grew out. And she wasn't being abusive.
I know,
or being
this
mean.
is the thing.
She was just so mad that I cut my hair, and she didn't want me to cut my hair, and she was like, you look like a Also, people were just so comfortable
with saying those kinds of things. You get to see your grandmother. And she'd be like this, like on your cheek.
When I was young, bengina alopecia ngapha esiphundu, and they used to say yo ulala ngesiphundu, and every time my abantwana baphemile mina ngiphemile mara zizodleka ngapha, then I had to cut my hair.
I over bleached my hair and it started to fall out. But I put some gel on it and it worked. Then it looked like a pomade. Remember pomades from the 90s? Yes. Yes!
Someone once said to me, this whole idea of you guys going natural is not nice. You guys think you're better because, you know, some people have this perception that because we decide to go natural, we're trying to prove a point.
You see a picture on like Instagram or something, and you're like, oh, this, I want to give it to my hair lady, she's gonna kill it. And when you get there, and you're just like, okay, what did she do? When you feel it, and you're like, I literally just did cornrows that go up and down. And I don't know how you screwed that up. She screwed it up.
I once had my hair relaxed and by auntie Endlin, and yeah, she didn't know what she was doing, and I had like scabs like on my hairline, so I would go to school and put like a hairband to cover it, and then you know the scabs and they like release those funky nyana juices, and then your hair is just like sticky, and yeah, that was like the worst week of my life, honestly.
So, Millie, I remember you once posted something on Facebook. It was a status, and you said, you know, all of us have done the wear out jersey on our head so that we could pretend like we have long flowy hair.
Yeah.
And up until that point in time, I didn't realize that there was a time in my life when I had hair issues. Do you think that we all have them? It's just you didn't know how they presented themselves to you?
Absolutely. I think that growing up in South Africa with our history,
yeah,
where our looks, our brains, our history, our whole beings as black people was put under question.
Yeah.
The way we look, our mirrors didn't escape that. So if you're growing up with a lot of imagery that has people who don't look like you, positioned as successful, as sexy, as
pretty,
educated, as pretty. As kids, we used to read Cinderella, no Snow White, nobody, and they had long hair. And when you put on the television, you watch the cartoons, and all of these heroes, everyone that's positioned as desirable or something to aspire to, has got hair that is fundamentally different from yours. Yeah. So as kids, we were just, I don't know, we were just reaching for that sense of desire by putting towels, and of course we were having fun at the same time.
Yeah.
But I'm interested, the work that I do, I'm interested in the relationship between hair, identity, and our emotional selves and our psychological selves as Black people. Considering where and how, what kind of country we grew up and how Black people were treated. And when we had things like the pencil test and we had things like skin lightening creams where the idea was to say, wrong or Anele when you look like this. Let me fix you. Something's wrong with your nose.
To this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, my hair. It's not a journey. It will never end. It's just this interrogation of this relationship between Black women's hair, and we all have stories. We all have hilarious stories. We have painful stories. We have stories full of shame and vulnerability. Shame. There's a lot of shame around. And we used to call it the K word.
Yeah.
When we were growing up. And when we don't want people to say that word to us on the street, but we're using it in our own homes and where white people are far away. You know what I mean? We're in our own domestic spaces. So the work that I do is to kind of celebrate those stories, those histories, but also to really, at the bottom of it is healing. Healing the sense that something is wrong with the way we look. Something is wrong with the way that Africans are designed.
You say your journey will never end, right? And then you speak of healing. Where are you in the journey? And are you healed? Is that why you can speak so freely and with us and share it like this and also enlighten us? Where are you in your journey?
I'm in a really good place, yes, Anele, because I trained myself to be okay with this look. There were many times, I used to have braids, I used to have other styles, and I would have this hair when you're on your way to another hairstyle.
Your transition hair.
You transition, no, well, you're just waiting for Mklambi, you give the hair a bit of a breather for a week, but the idea is to, to have pretty hair, you must have braids, or you must have hair that you can do this thing with.
Yeah.
And so I had to actively train myself when I started to really think deeply about this relationship between hair and being Black in South Africa. And I was not comfortable looking at myself in the mirror. I wasn't comfortable with how dark my skin was. I wasn't comfortable with the way, I hated this hair. I didn't like how it felt. It was too difficult to comb. It was just, I just had a negative relationship to it. So over the last 4 years, I've trained myself to be comfortable with the way that I look. And now I'm in a place where it's no longer about the hair. Now it's about a deeper, healing and a deeper identity. And I've asked myself the question, where did I first begin to dislike myself as a Black person? Because I was a Kulele trans guy. And as much as the trans guy was politically a Bantustan and not really, it wasn't right at all, inside, growing up inside, I was born as a umtu.
Yeah.
As a Black person.
Yeah.
I only learned how to become Black when I went to the white schools in the early 1990s. That's when somebody said, you're Black. And then I took on the identity of being Black. But the first 8-9 years of my life, I grew up around Abantu speaking Xhosa. And so I didn't have a problem with the way I looked. In fact, my parents, they were Ghanaians and Ugandans all over the neighborhood. We would go do our hair at Auntie Nana's place and buy amadaki, not amadaki, isn't no, it's Ghana. And for birthday parties, we would wear those dashikis and head wraps. And it was nice. We were very African, but without pronouncing it. We went like, we're so African.
Yeah.
We were just
it's
people.
Just how you were.
Exactly. And then I went into the white schools and the Model C schools in the 90s, and that's when I learned, okay, I'm Black. And then I started to inherit this identity of an unproud Blackness, the shame around being Black.
Here's what's dangerous, is that no one was saying, your hair is wrong, you're ugly.
Exactly.
But there was nuance. And now that's the issue of fighting something that's never been said to you.
Exactly. So it was never a case of, you guys are ugly, your hair, no.
Yeah.
The thing about indoctrination is, first of all, it's nice when you're being indoctrinated. You don't feel pain.
Yeah.
It's not like someone's bashing you over the head.
Like you
just get put into this environment that is very far away from your language, from your history, from your culture. And at that time, I mean, I can't blame the elders of our country. It was the early 90s in South Africa, when Mandela got out of jail and when we were at the dawn of democracy.
We were being agreeable.
It was an amazing time. There was a lot of euphoria in the air. And I think our generation especially got stuck in that euphoria. And there was a lot of, when we went into these new environments, where we weren't allowed to go into before, I mean, the message was at home, hey, we're gonna go to the white people's schools. And even in the schools themselves, they didn't say, I mean, there were some kids who said some racist things and some teachers who said some racist things. But overall, it wasn't an environment of extreme torture like apartheid was, where someone could just call you a name and get away with it. So growing up in that kind of environment that's very distant from your Africanness and your Blackness, what happens to your mind over a long period of time. You start to want to have Jessica and Samantha's hair because her hair moves when she's running in the park.
And her dries after you go swimming. And it dries with ease, and then she just ties it up. You go
and she
swimming.
doesn't have to wear Vaseline.
Yes, you go swimming, you get ashy, all the product comes out of your hair.
And your mother has said, don't swim, because this is 60 rand. I don't have 60 rand to relax every year. So we often don't manzil. And so all the black girls, a lot of the times when I was growing up, we didn't swim. The swimming pool was our enemy.
You'd get in there up to here.
Exactly. But and then what does that do to you when you're inside the school at that time? They say, oh, well, you guys are non-swimmers, you don't swim.
No, I'm just protecting my hair.
But we didn't even have that language at the time. So, I mean, it started off as about hair 4 years ago, but honestly, I made a documentary. I'm making a documentary, by the way, where the minute I started to realize the relationship, how closely connected our history and our mirrors as black people, how you see yourself and what you've been told by the outside forces, I said, I've got to do something about this. I've got to make this my life's work somehow. So it started out becoming an exploration of that subject, and I used myself as a subject. Where did I learn to hate my hair? And when I located it in the Model C school, I then started to look at my life. How did my life change, and how did it travel to get to a point where at the age of 29, I still didn't like the way I looked. And over the last 4 years, I'm 33 now, I have done a lot of work, and I call that healing work.
You say you trained yourself. How do you train yourself to love what you see in the mirror? What are the things you must tell yourself?
Sitting in the mirror and looking and saying, I'm not a mistake. God didn't create this nose, this skin color, and this hair. I belong on earth. I don't belong anywhere else. And when my parents made me, they weren't making a mistake. Do you know what I mean? And of course, you also educate yourself. So you pick up books, you read, you watch films, you go on YouTube, you Google black hair, women, identity. You will find lots and lots of things. You have conversations with people. I started just to talk to my friends because also growing up, I mean, this is not something we spoke about around the table. So I actively got a guy with a camera and I said, come, let's interview people. And I thought I was making a 5-minute video for my blog, but it ended up being 8 hours of interviews and 14 hours of footage of people just talking, and it was linked to family, it was linked to relationships with our mothers.
Relationships with men.
With men, where you don't want the man to see how you actually look inside. You're going to do everything possible to maintain this look.
He must never know that this is it.
One woman that I interviewed, Anele, said that her husband had never seen her hair and neither had her daughter. And when she does her hair, she actually alerts the security guards at the mall to say, this is what he's wearing. If he comes through to the... And it's funny, but it's actually not funny. The fact that you can say, this is the person that's supposed to know me the most, but actually I'm ashamed that I don't, and she was beautiful. She is beautiful. And she still she wasn't comfortable with somebody seeing her real self. And
her naked self.
Her naked self. And there's been a lot of, the way that this conversation has happened, we've all made a lot of mistakes because it's still unfolding in South Africa. Where I am now is to try and be really compassionate and remember how ashamed I felt when I also didn't want to see my hair. So the reason I'm using myself I'm examining myself. I'm using myself mostly as a subject. I'm not saying, oh, Anele, or Lisa, or I'm
because it's
using
very
myself.
easy to use somebody else as the topic of debate because you don't have to be internal about it.
Exactly. So the reason I'm calling it healing is because I've peeled off layers and layers where I'm at a place now where my physical identity, my blackness, my feminism, and all those things are not the most important things in my life. Dingumtu at the end of the day. And I'm like, what does that mean? What does that ntu part mean? And I'm literally learning what that means, like culturally as an African person. What does that mean? Is Dugozam, what do they mean? When they say Tute, yours Landa, where am I fetching myself? So I'm also recovering a lost knowledge and an erased knowledge about being an African person and finding that there's a parallel universe in terms of who we are, who we've been as Abantu Abamnyama, that doesn't necessarily rely on us centering whiteness in terms of how to look at ourselves. It's like, okay, yes, and people always be fighting them.
Exist,
but there's also a sense of, I'm very much enjoying this exploration of Ubuntu. Not Ubuntu as in that bastardized 1990s term that people just put over everything, but really looking at it from within my language, is Xhosa, and learning parts of my language that I don't know. So I'm going for 2 months back to the Eastern Cape to do some research on some really amazing things that I've, ways
I
of
want
that
to
how,
listen to
how
you,
we
but I
have
have
been.
to stop you.
Watch my film. It's coming
But
out.
this is
probably
why you're
next year.
here.
This is why I'm here.
When
yeah.
is this film coming out?
I'm in the last phase of development now, and I've finally got like some financial support from from Hot Docs, a documentary funding institute in Canada, so they can give me money to go to leave my job and go and work for 2 months. It's coming out 2019.
Okay, but you're coming back in the final segment. So we're all gonna be here. We're gonna discuss this a whole lot more, but we wanna know when this documentary is coming out. So how much are people spending these days to take those hair on fleek selfies, right? Because if you want to look a certain way, it's gonna cost. We want you to join in the conversation. Tell us about your hair memories. How much are you paying? What's painful about your hair? What introspection did you have to do about yourself that identified with your hair? Do you just throw in a wig and keep it moving? Are you spending a lot for a new hairdo every single week? There's so many discussions to be had. Hashtag Real Talk with Anele. We'll talk about it after the break. So welcome back. A 2010 report by the professional hair care market South Africa claimed that South Africa's hair care industry is estimated to be generating figures in the region of billions. The majority of salons are reportedly making their money from hair relaxers, but go into any hair shop or salon and you'll see I'm a hair piece, I'm a single, I'm a debret, natural hair, then there's human hair, then there's Brazilian, Malaysian, a hot new favorite, Peruvian. How much do you spend on your hair every single month? My guest, Candice Thurston, has the numbers. She's an expert when it comes to the ins and the outs of the hair market in South Africa, and she's bought some samples for us. So which one is this synthetic?
That is synthetic.
But now here's the thing. Synthetic is like the bastard that dies child of hair, right? Everyone is like, oh, synthetic, it's shiny.
Yeah.
Is it getting a bad rep unnecessarily?
I think bad quality is. I say in about 10 to 20 years, synthetic's probably going to take over the market of natural hair.
Why do you say that?
Because there's so much innovation within the synthetic field. So you can literally take hair and make it look as real as you want it to. You can iron the hair, you can curl the hair. So it's really an element of hair that can be used for people that don't want to spend in the region of 1,000 Rand plus. So for example, the one you're holding in your hand, you can see is quite shiny.
It is. Does the shine die after a while?
No, it doesn't, unfortunately. And when you're comparing it to something that's of high quality, you can actually look at the difference from a hair extension perspective. But I mean, there's so many different elements that will contribute to the different quality of hair and the price that you pay.
So when I do weaves, right, you pay through your behind and then they sell it, they're like, it doesn't tangle, and then it tangles.
Yeah.
Is there hair that doesn't tangle?
No, so the higher the quality, the more it tangles, unfortunately.
You see now we've been getting lied to. How do you explain that? Why is that?
So basically there's two types of hair. So the main thing with hair is called Remy hair. So all hair has cuticles. It looks like fish scales.
Yes.
So when they actually collect hair, and it's generally from Southeast Asia, India or China, when you collect the hair, the cuticles run in the same direction. So that's the highest quality Remy hair. It's like any hair would tangle. So you have to brush it. You have to put conditioner on it. So therefore you have to look after it for it to look good. But it will last you almost forever. Then you get hair that's basically non-Remy, and that's where the cuticles are running in separate directions. And that's when they dip it or they process the hair, as we call it. So this, for example, is 100% human hair, but it's processed hair. So you can see it's a bit more shinier.
Yeah.
The color is the same from top to bottom.
Can you dye that?
This you can't dye.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, we call it at Candi&Co the double C and double S. So you look for cuticles. So if you take a strand of hair and you run your figures up, it'll have a little bit of a rough feel.
Yes.
You can probably try it with that.
That's good.
That's good.
That's good when it
must
has
have
like a rough feel.
yeah.
'Cause
It has cuticles at the end, meaning that the hair was basically collected in the right direction. When you smell it, so if you smell the synthetic hair compared to the other one,
Yeah.
you can smell the plasticky smell.
Yeah.
And then
Very
the color,
Tupperware-ish.
and then the color is different with the strand. So those are the kind of things you can look at when you're actually buying hair. Most girls get fooled when they're buying something called a mix.
A mix.
So it's a mix of synthetic hair and a mix of real hair.
So
and that's
the
when
real
you
hair,
pay a
it
lot
sort of
and
came
it's not
off
great.
somebody's head.
Exactly. So you call them collectors. So basically people will go from region to region to actually buy people's ponytails, and that's basically where you get lots of the hair. And unfortunately, it's all a myth that most of the hair comes from Brazil or Peru.
Really?
Yes, it's just they use that name because You know, women of color, we love Brazilians. We think they're sexy, so they call it Brazilian. It's actually not. Of Brazil or South America is the biggest consumer of hair extensions. So most of India and China's hair actually goes to South America. So I can guarantee you 99% of the hair you're buying that's called Brazilian is not Brazilian or for a Brazilian woman's hair. I always ask, have you ever seen a Brazilian girl with short hair? No.
You have totally blown my mind.
I'm sorry.
Even Peruvian?
No.
All a lie. So it's marketing.
You know, you might get small quantities, but it definitely doesn't make it onto the African continent.
Okay, so what's really big at the moment is wigs.
Yes.
And I mean, our mothers used to rock wigs, and
Yes.
we're like, ooh, a wig,
Yes,
you know.
yes.
Also, it was very, you know, like they'd rock the braids wig, very like, remember Mantusha Balala
90s kind
and you're
of
just
look.
like, Mom, what are you
What
doing? Take the thing off. You
But
look
now
like you're wearing
it's
it.
hot, 90s are coming back. Bring that
now
style
wigs are
back.
everything.
Yes.
Why has that evolution happened?
I think it's really about innovation getting into South Africa. If you look at the wigging industry of Whitney Houston and Tina Turner, did you know their wigs were made in Cape Town? No. So wigs were so expensive, we just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, lots of the wigs we make is you get a wig cap, you buy bundles of hair, and you can actually make any style that you need. I'm a fan of wigs. And I mean, if you look at like Kendall Jenner, any of the guys, they all have their wig heads like you would have your shoes. And I mean, I've got 4 or 5 wigs, so I like wearing a gray or purple wig. I'm not gonna dye my hair. I'm just gonna rock my, you know, my wig. So I think it's better because it's also better for the health of your hair, so you're not sewing all the time onto your...
But aren't wigs bad for this guy here?
If you're wearing it all the time, yes, but you also get different quality of lace of your front. So for example, this is a closure.
Yes.
And you can see this is a lace, and if you touch the lace on your synthetic wig, it's a harder lace.
Yeah.
So that sort of lace will definitely damage your hairline, whereas this won't.
So when I'm looking at wigs, I must look to see how soft this is.
The softness of it, exactly.
But then some people, it chills like this, ne? And then you can see this guy sitting here.
Because it hasn't been installed properly. So obviously there's an element of quality of hair, and there's an element of how it's installed. So I always say, if you're going to wear any hair, you want to make it look as natural as possible. And that's why the installation is extremely important when you're actually putting on a wig.
What's on your head right now?
I've got synthetic braid hair.
Also, that's not your...
No.
Because also you're not black. You look, you know, so I was like, maybe say, I don't know, Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm mixed race. I come from a very mixed family. So I got into Candi&Co because our whole thing was about deracializing hair. And that's what Candi&Co is all about, to help girls with their natural hair journey, to be able to do braids, to be able to do wigs, to be able to do whatever you want to do on your hair.
Okay, and when it comes to, you know, to money,
yes,
your industry, I mean, if Stats South Africa is like there's 2 billion rand a year, should I be quitting this talk show and, you know, get me a salon, open me a Candi&Co and start making the coins? I
think it's a great industry, but it's a very difficult industry to work in. It's extremely competitive, and I think specifically in the women of color industry, you're fighting with almost, in South Africa, there's almost 200,000 salons. But that means it's a salon, it's somebody from home, somebody that's in town, and your professional salons. And it's a very difficult market to play in because pricing is very competitive. So if you, for example, in Ilov Street, you've probably got 20 salons next to each other, and you're literally bartering when you go from one salon to the other. Whereas when you're working more of a formal industry, you want to have a menu to kind of understand how much you want to pay for your hair. So if you're going to get into it, I think customer experience is extremely important. The services that you're offering. So, you know, we blow dry natural girls hair without putting relaxer. Relaxer is actually not a popular. I mean, you mentioned that relaxers are the biggest. It's not in Candi&Co. Our biggest is the natural hair journey, braiding, and obviously wigging, because girls want to play between their bad hair days or not with their wigs. So I definitely think that's changing. If you have to have an extreme passion for the industry, and if you're going into it for money, don't go into it, because you're dealing with lots of guests. A woman's, you know, we always say your hair is your pride and joy.
And also you're dealing with my emotions, guys, because my emotions are tied directly to what I look like. So now if I walk in there and, you know, for instance, I know a lot of girls with natural hair, you know, you'll walk into a salon and they're like, oh, sorry, we don't treat that here. And you're just like, what's that? You know, what is that? So.
And that's why we have a training school, because I think when I launched Candi&Co, it was all about looking at the stylists. So we can't expect to sit on a seat and have everybody know what to do, because you have stylists that have been in this industry for 10 to 15 years. But, you know, during the apartheid era, you didn't have schools which taught highly textured hair. So how are stylists supposed to know how to do it? So, and that's why in our training school, all our stylists go for 16 weeks of training where we focus on natural hair, and then we add the chemicals and the treatments, etc., etc. So it's a science. You have to look at the hair, not by our race, by the type of hair we have. And that's why you've got 4 hair types: straight, wavy, curly and highly textured. And within that, some people have thick hair, some people have fine hair. So you can never say, this is my race group, therefore this is my hair type. You have to do a consultation, the same way a doctor does a consultation on your body, and then you understand what you need to prescribe for the hair type. And I think there's not one specific type of hair or whether you use braids, if that's right or wrong. It's what makes you comfortable. And I always say, whatever style you want to use, rock it. But always look after your own hair and make sure it's in the most healthy state possible.
Okay, we're going to take a break. You're coming back when we wrap things up. When you come back, I want you to answer this question in your head, and then you're going to tell us when you come back. For black women, we look at, colored women and mixed race women, and we think, oh, they don't have hair issues. Exactly. You see, she's laughing at me because she's got an answer, and we're going to get it before we wrap up. So listen, the new school year has just begun, and pencils and rulers have already gone missing. Add to your stresses in life, now you need to worry about your little one's hair. After the break, I'm joined by a mother who's worried about what her daughter thinks is good hair. This is a very important discussion that we're about to have. Please don't go anywhere. So I'm pretty sure you will agree that parenting is the stuff of superheroes. Making sure your kids are fed, get a good education, have manners, can survive in a world and grow to reach their full potential. But there's only so much a parent can do because we can't always be there to shelter our kids, right? They'll step into the world and have to make sense of it all. I'm joined by poet and mom, Natalia Molebatsi. She's black and describes her 10-year-old daughter as a black girl with a white dad. Okay, so now, here's the issue about this. You are a black woman, you are married to a white man, and you have a child, and her hair looks nothing like her father or her mother. Is this something that kept you up at night at a point?
No.
Not at all?
Not at all.
So how did you ever think, okay, how am I going to approach, the hair thing? Because I'm assuming now, so correct me, that you wanted to feel comfortable with her natural hair.
I want her to feel comfortable with her natural hair. Like every mother wants their child to feel comfortable. And it her situation reminds me a little bit about myself. And that's when I started to get worried, Anele, that, oh wow, when I was, 13 years old, I was worried and get growth.
Okay, yes.
Okay, Mommy, when are you getting paid so that we can go and relax our hair? And I'm worried that that has not changed a lot because she, for the first time, a few weeks ago, she got her hair straightened, and it was the big deal because I do cornrows. I don't say it out as much as I do the action. So we do cornrows, we go with Tembisa and we do cornrows, and but then she likes to keep her hair in a bun because then she says, I don't want people to think I'm a clown. Because one or two kids have said those kinds of remarks because her hair is, so you can see that she's self-aware, she's self-conscious, but it's also about what our children see, what our children see in the media. So there is an element of, as much as we can say we're not our hair and we play with hair, we can use the straight hair, we can use it, but the real issue also about coming from South Africa with the politics of South Africa and the world in general, where if your hair is straight, then you are prettier.
You are acceptable.
And then there's a sense of things that are validated around beauty. Light skin and hair becomes then a signifier for, you got good genes, and you realize with a child like mine that the genes are not good enough. Right? Because the hair is not as ironed. And when the hair is as ironed and as unhealthy, and you're like, wow, you look kind of strange. No, but my hair turns, or when I play, it does the Ahmed kind of situation.
But now with the afros, and your child, does it not, are you not anticipating somebody's going to say, can her hair not be neater?
No, her hair is neat enough. And when the young girl from the Pretoria Girls High School, when she saw that, she said, Mommy, I want to meet this girl because she looks like me and her hair looks like mine, and she's speaking up she's using her voice, mommy. I want to meet her. And I was really happy that she could see that something was happening in there for her. That, you know, and that we are political beings as much as we can stay away from that. But the fact that we are all these different types of shades of black, you know, that's a political state in this world, because, you know, we've seen how darker skinned people have been treated. We've seen how people have been classified into different racial groups based on their hair. We've seen how people have passed, you know, black people who've passed as white because of how their hair was straighter.
How are you navigating the conversations with her about hair now, without making her a political animal, you know? Because you also still want her to be a child. You know, you don't want her to be now this revolutionary there in class by the playground. She's like, Amandla, you just want her to get on the swing, drink her Oros. You know?
I think we can be all those things. Yeah. I think our existence can be the political, the playful, all of that. And without forcing that into her, I'm also giving her the choice. This is why I let her straighten her hair, because I said, okay, let's see how you will look. It did a little bit, because I thought she looked really strange. And also I said to her, but now look, you don't even want to swim, because now you're worried that your hair is going to go back into, and just you know, being a parent is the practice, the everyday saying you're beautiful. It doesn't matter if you're blue or gold, you are beautiful. You're beautiful every day. You're beautiful with cornrows, and just letting them try different things, but at the same time making them, and she's already seeing that. She says, why is it that there are no black girls in Disneyland? So you can see that. Why is it that Princess, what's her name? Princess and the Frog has straight hair? She's asking those questions. Yeah. So I think that it's important for us to have those conversations. And it's not wrong to be political, because we have been made, especially if you live in South Africa. And she, I think, has the opportunity to travel. She goes to the US, she goes to Europe, and then she sees that. She's like, oh, mommy, people say I'm colored in South Africa, and people say I'm black in America.
What am I? Somebody say something.
Kind of so, and I mean, she identifies as a light-skinned black girl, you know, and she has friends who identify as light-skinned black girls, and it's fine, you know. And she also understands that to claim black is important. Like, you know, James Brown said, I'm black and I'm proud. She understands that if we don't claim it, then a lot of people are going to remain disenfranchised, because black is less and white is better. So if I claim black because I have, you know, my family as black people, then I am doing something good, because I'm reclaiming this black, which right now is still a political,
it's an important thing,
you know, and an important space.
Listen, thank you so much, but before we let you go, I need to highlight something that you said, and I don't think we do it enough as parents, and we should do more of it, where you are telling your child that they are beautiful and smart and amazing in every sense that they present themselves. Absolutely. So when they're wearing a dress, you are beautiful. When you're wearing pants, you are beautiful. When your hair is straight, you are beautiful. When it's in condos, when you say something stupid, you are beautiful.
You are still beautiful.
At every, so that we don't raise adults who think they need to be a specific way. To be deemed
and
beautiful.
that we make mistakes. That sometimes you'll do this hairdo that she did, and I said, I think this is a mistake, baby. And I mean, I think she saw that too, in a way that, you know, and she says, Mommy, it's a lot of work. You know, so already she can see that it's a mistake, because, hey, it's like so much work. I could be doing other things, and I'm busy here looking after straight hair.
Listen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving us your Friday afternoon. I hope many parents were listening to you. You made some many amazing points.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, after the break, I chat to a filmmaker that wrote a story about a girl that wants hair that moves. Oh, this one. All right, so my lady over here did a movie trailer, a movie Hair That Moves. I want to definitely check it out before we chat about it.
You can sing? Look, Mom, we won't ever have to be late again.
Be busy. And I don't think I can go more.
You can sing? Wow, you're full of surprises.
Ma, I need a weave for my performance.
Just the way it is.
You don't like your haircut?
I want to look pretty.
All right, so I said she did a movie trailer. No, it's not just a trailer. There's actually an entire movie.
Like a whole
that
thing.
was the trailer, however, for Hair That Moves, a short film written and directed by my next guest, Yolanda Mogatusi. So why did you do this Hair That Moves?
I wanted to make a film about self-love. I wanted to make a film about self-love and a girl who goes through a journey where she's in the middle of two worlds and she doesn't know who to be in which world, whether it's being at home and her mom and what her mom wants, and then being at school and seeing all these girls at school with their long blonde hair and everything else going on, and her feeling like, and she's in that moment in her life where she's not yet an adolescent, but she's still like, she's starting to kind of figure out. Yeah, you know what I mean? She's starting to see that, you know, the world is not all I think it is. And she's in that moment in her life. So, yeah, I wanted to make a film about self-love, though. She goes through this journey, and in the end, she needs to decide who it is that she wants to be.
Is this a movie about you?
I think there's definitely parts of me in it. I think every story I tell, there's absolutely parts of me in it.
And which part would you say, you know, was definitely a chunk out of you, like literally a pound of your flesh?
Oh, wow. I think the whole kind of growing up Kosovo and then traveling all the way to the north to a really nice school, and then constantly being in between these two worlds.
You almost change yourself in that 20 kilometers.
Yeah, because it's like, yes, because there's an expectation here at home, and it's like, if you bring what's going on at school at home, it's like, no, we don't do that here. You know, I remember my aunt once saying, yeah, we look at school but it doesn't mean that you have to take on their culture. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And then you go to school and then there's some stuff you don't know, and you don't know it because that's not what you do at home, and then you're behind, and then, so there's like a constant, okay, who must you be where? And there were definitely certain things I could do at home. There were certain things my mom was like, no, I don't do that, we're not doing that. I remember the first time asking my mom for a shaving kit. She was like, no, I don't shave, you're not. I was like, Mom, we've got swimming, I need to shave.
Everyone's like.
And it's like life and death for me. And she's like, no, what's that? Like, no, you're not. And at school, I'm like, oh my gosh, like the things I needed to do to make sure that when swimming time came and I'm like, I look presentable. You know, stuff like that. It's just a small little thing.
I totally relate to what you're saying.
But like stuff like that. So living between these two worlds, being like this third culture kid who all constantly has to, you know, you need to figure out who you are and such, and then eventually finding, okay, this is who I'm going to be, and sticking true to that.
You see, how do you find this is who you're going to be? You know, what are the exercises, what are the practices, what are the questions you're asking yourself so that you can get to like a balance of, okay, guys, I understand that I live in all these worlds, but this is the Anele I'm going to take into every situation. I'm tired of changing.
Okay. Well, with the film, the girl looks to her mom for direction. Because her mom tells her, no, you can't have it, you can't have this. But I say everything, she'll put on like a little hairpiece and whatnot. And it's like, but you know, you're saying no, but you're telling me to love myself, but you still, you know. And only at the moment where her mom is like, oh, okay, you know what, this is me. Is she free to also kind of take on that self-love? And for me, I think it's definitely also understanding what it is that I want as a person, as a woman, and being okay with not pleasing everyone, being okay with indeed liking the things that I like, and that's it, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And yeah, and sometimes I think in spaces where there's still insecurity, or you are surrounded by people who are insecure about themselves, it might seem a little bit intimidating, but I think you need to decide it's okay, like I don't have to please everyone.
Is there a time when do you feel the most unattractive in terms of the hair that you have?
When I've got like a wig on or a weave on.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I feel insecure. I look stunning. Okay, I can say this, but I feel like obviously you look stunning in like a weave or whatnot, the long straight hair. But I feel so insecure. I feel like, is this the right wig? Have I got on right?
Yeah.
What if it comes off?
Is it tilting?
Is it like, is it the right quality hair? Like Candice was saying, like, is everything okay? Like, is everything? But when I'm myself, my afro, and I come out into the world looking like how I look, I like literally, I feel like I can walk into a room and I feel very centered.
So you're working on an animation.
Yes.
About a girl with a magic
it's
afro.
Called, yeah, Raps and Rapunzel. Yes. You know, I love that story. So the idea for that came from, so I like kind of changing my afro up a little bit.
Yeah.
I went to a salon that I don't normally go to.
Yeah.
And so I was getting a blowout.
Yeah.
So my afro is really, it's like 4C here. It's like tight to coils.
Shrinkage.
So it looks like this. And then when it's blown out, it's this long, like, and this lady was like, wow, is that your hair? And it was like half, because the hairdresser had done half, and Kamo was like half afro. I'm like, yeah, it's what happens when you blow dry it. And she was like, wow, it's like magic, eh? And I was like, actually,
there you
you're
go.
right. But as soon as a drop of water falls on it, like, you know what I mean? It comes back home. And
also,
I was like,
that's the premise. When it grows out, the
kind of, but obviously
like
it's animation, so I also go out. Yeah, so she does all these things with her hair. If she needs to like fly or whatnot, she's like, okay, cool. She puffs it up, and it's like a light grey puff. If she needs to shoot up, it's like a straight, you know what I mean? Like a straightened, like straight. And then when it rains, then she comes back.
So listen. She's trying to get funding for this movie. So if you just, ran into the lotto, or you have a trust fund, or you know somebody who knows somebody at the bank, come on.
But even, you know what I'm asking? I'm like, even if it's like 100 rands, but I need like
crowdfunding.
2,100 rands. Crowdfunding, yeah. So I'm like, I need 2,100
Do you have a website for this crowdfunding?
Yes, I do. It's on thunderfund.com.
Okay, thunderfund.com.
And also on Facebook, yeah.
Go and find it. Let's support it. We're almost at the end of our hair discussion. There's still a bit more to unpack. Remember, I gave a few of the previous guests some questions. We're going to get to those questions after the break. So the beauty of today's show about hair is that every person that sat on the couch has had a different aspect of it. They've had a different journey. They've had a different take, and that's why they're all back here now. Milisuthando, Candice, and Yolanda are joining me. So I asked you, Candice, is, we look at mixed race, the colors, we're like, oh, life is so easy there, Debate me, fight me, fight me.
I think it depends on like your household that you've grown up with. So in my household, my mom has very curly hair, and I did have very straight hair. And my experience was the opposite, because people said I was adopted. Because why was my mom's hair like that? Why was my grand black? Why did my cousins have braids on? And I used to want to perm my hair and put like braids into my hair. So it's very, I think everybody's story is different. And I think we spoke about how nobody talks hair. I don't just think it's a woman of color kind of thing. Every woman has some sort of drama. Like girls that are dyeing their hair from black to blonde. Why? Because growing up, what was beauty defined by? Blue eyes, blonde hair, and light skin. I was darker skinned. My cousins were lighter skinned. I had an issue with the color of my skin. But I think it's all about what your parents say to you, and what the world can say whatever they want to, but if your parents are actually instilling that confidence, you will get anywhere in life. And just with curly, it's a curly hair thing. So I once spoke to a Jewish girl who said her mom used to sneak her into black hair salons to relax her hair, because again, why is there PhD? Why is there straightening irons? Because curly hair, no matter what type of curl texture it is, was never accepted in corporate. It was never accepted in
still
schools.
isn't sometimes.
It still isn't,
you always told, this is not corporate, tone it down. We're a professional place. You're like, what is so unprofessional about my hair? Do we hold celebrities to a high standard of role modelness when it comes to hair? Millie?
I think...
Or should we?
I think based purely on their visibility and how much of them we see. I mean, I don't want to attack people personally and say you, Anele, are responsible for making people aspire to a certain look. But if you switch on the television and you watch Miss World, or you watch the TV shows, and the same look is being sold on TV, then it becomes a problem. Then it's a question has to be posed, and those who want to answer it should answer it. But I can't disassociate celebrity culture and how pervasive it is, and how pervasive Instagram looks, and how the look of the Kardashians is pervasive, not just when it comes to hair, but our ideas of body shapes. I think, but we also the ones that are liking the images. So if Kim K posts a particular picture and it gets 4 million likes versus another picture that gets 100,000 likes, which one is she going to keep doing? So we're all influencing each other. We're all kind of existing in this chamber together as people. But I really like what Candice said when she said that it's really important that parents at home reinforce the values and principles that they want to pass on to their children, because the world, it's not just hair. There's all kinds of things that we're being told out there. It's a very confusing place. It's all kinds of things. So when your child leaves the home, you really are sending them into a wilderness of just anything.
So send out a balanced, full person.
It's very important to be aware that there has to be work happening inside the home when it comes to things like hair and language even. People who speak African languages, the fact that our children are no longer forgetting the languages, I think that we also need to realize that Umzabalas is not over. 1994 might have happened and now we can access these spaces and share new intimacies across the races that wasn't happening before, but the work still needs to be happening at home. So it's not a matter of, oh, let's relax and the TV will take care of my child. The TV is going to show your child particular things that when you're not around, and they will just subconsciously repeat those things and copy them.
But even now, there's so much access to all sorts of things. It's even more important to kind of like, okay, I'm steering you in this way or that way. Yeah. And kids have access to it as much as we do, you know?
They've got cell phones, they can just go on and go surf Instagram, surf Twitter,
and that's what's molding your child's character and what they think is beautiful and acceptable. Yolanda, when you see someone like, please bring it up, Michelle Obama, right? And then she was there with her afro. Is that like do you like go, yes, girl?
Completely.
Are you guys like,
finally,
yes, girl?
I was like, finally, she can now wear her afro.
Yeah. I feel like also we're at a moment where kind of beauty as a commodity is being kind of leveled up. In a good way, in that everyone, like, you just need to know how to put your makeup on well, and you can look amazing, no matter what you look like in your natural self. Yeah. But for someone to kind of walk out and be like, this is what I look like without the makeup, without the extra hair, without any extras, and I'm okay. I feel like there's so much strength in that, and that is definitely what I desire for myself. And that's why I said before, when I've got the extra stuff, I'm always wondering, is the extra enough and does it work? But if I'm by myself, just as I am, literally, I walk and I feel like, you know what? I feel pretty today, and I don't care. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay with myself.
Is the extra enough?
Is the extra enough? All the time.
It's a very powerful thing. Like, when you're putting on all these things, you always feel like you're lacking.
Because you look better than you know what I mean?
Like, do I have enough bling on? You know, is the eyeshadow enough? Is my brow enough?
I'm trying too hard. Is it working? Yeah.
So the key then is, you know, to find a place where you can walk out as in your naked self, but a lot earlier. Because I'm so tired of, you know, hearing people say, like, oh, you know, when I got to my 50s, I was comfortable with myself. I'm like, no. I want you to be comfortable at 12 years old.
Exactly. This is why I call it healing. This is healing work. It's not, yes, we talk about beauty, but beauty is political, like most things in this country. So it's, on one level, it's about feeling pretty, but on another level, it's feeling okay with who I am, and how my body is shaped, how my skin is shaped. And once I'm okay with my physical identity, I still have a lot to do in the world as a soul, as a being. We're not just here to wax lyrical and to go on and on about, I'm black, I'm this, and to focus so much of our energy on our identities. I understand we're in a moment right now, but we also need to think beyond the moment. Okay, let's imagine a world where no black people were being tortured and our hair was absolutely fine. Who would we be? That's the point. That's what I'm saying. It's going to continue working. It's going to continue happening, because I can't relax now and say, okay, I'm fine with my hair.
Can I invite you back?
Absolutely.
Because the SABC wants to go to news. Really, they're like, we need to go to news.
This is what happens when black women have their own shows. We have this conversation.
Okay, we really need to go, but you are coming back. Thank you so much to all my guests. Listen, it started as a conversation, but look at this. Clearly, it's about so much more. It's about self-image, it's about acceptance, loving yourself, reaffirming yourself, whether or not whatever your hair looks like. For myself, Anele Mdoda, it's a good night. On Monday, we're back at 6 p.m. later. So all of you, like, we're in traffic. Don't worry about it. We've got you sorted. 6 p.m. Monday. Bye.